What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, famous YouTuber turned boxer, Jake Paul, who just recently knocked out NBA superstar legend Nate Robinson, has now addressed all of the talk and all of the people saying that YouTubers like himself and his brother Logan Paul and KSI and all of these guys are starting to make a mockery of the sport of boxing. And in fact, they're starting to, ruin the sport of boxing. So he then came out and he stated that, he's looking to get back in the ring. He takes the sport of boxing very serious. And he says that how could he be ruining the sport of boxing? And then he delves into former 4-division world champion, currently unified super middleweight WBC WBA world champion, Mexican superstar boxer Saul Canelo Alvarez, in which he states that I'm ruining the sport of boxing, but you have a known cheater who uses performance enhancers to be able to compete in the sport of boxing. And he's not only is he not being held accountable, but he's being praised for what we know he's done outside the ring and that translating inside the ring. And he says, but I'm the one that's ruining the sport of boxing. YouTubers are ruining the sport of boxing, but everybody except a guy who is a known cheater who used performance enhancing drugs to be able to compete in the sport itself, and nobody has an issue or hold them accountable for that. And I have to agree with Jake Paul because there's a lot of things that take place within the sport of boxing that just gets overlooked. And yes, I'm not specifically pertaining to Canelo Alvarez, but we do know Canelo Alvarez has failed multiple PED tests, 2 to be exact, for clenbuterol, along with a plethora of other Mexican boxers, and they simply just blame it on the meat in Mexico. And yet, the WBC sanctioned body and President Mauricio Suleiman moved up the amount of the limitation of clenbuterol that should be in your system to make it feasible to be able to eat the meat in Mexico and not be accountable for what goes in your system. But let's just listen to what Jake Paul had to say regarding this. So he said, this guy, Canelo Alvarez, is taking performance enhancers, allegedly, to be able to even compete in the sport of boxing. But I'm the one that's ruining the sport. I'm messing up the sport. And there's so many different things that are taking place within the sport of boxing, like the old Shacky Forster situation where he just fought Roman Gonzalez. No, I forgot who Shacky Forster just recently fought, but a guy that tried to use a brand new pair of Cleto Reyes gloves that was sent to him with no padding in the knuckle area. There was no padding in the hand area, and a brand new pair of gloves Miguel Roman, excuse me. This took place in November 19th of 2020, and he was sent a brand new pair of gloves that had no padding in them. And if it wasn't for Shaki Foster's trainer and manager catching this, he would have fought with no padding in the gloves, and the boxing commission would have approved of this. And since it was caught, then miraculously they had a brand new pair of the same gloves, same version of the gloves, same color and everything, same make and style, that had full padding in them. So what they were attempting to do was get away with having a fight with no padding in the gloves. And then once it got caught, they had the second pair on deck just in case he got caught. So it's not just the fact that guys are taking or using alleged quote unquote performance enhancers. And then you have guys like Jarrell Big Baby Miller, who failed 2 tests on 2 separate occasions. And now he's saying that he has proof that the level of what he's being accused of taking is so minor, and it came from an over-the-counter substance that he was taking for his personal use, and it still was in his system 2 months later, and he failed because that was on the banned list. And the first time he failed, he stated that what he failed for wasn't even on the list until after he failed. So there's a lot of maneuvering, dare I say. There's a lot of things that's going on in the behind the scenes within the sport of boxing, and it shouldn't be taking place because the sport of boxing is already dangerous enough itself. Every time they step through the ropes, they're risking their life for our entertainment. They're putting their life on the line. The sport is already dangerous itself. We lost 4 boxers last year. 1 is too many. We lost 4. So for people to be able to get away with using illegal hand wraps like Antonio Margarito did against Miguel Cotto, then attempted to do the same thing against Shane Mosley but getting caught. Or we have the Panama Lewis situation. Or we have the situation with Tyson Fury, the Martin Carefoot, the farmer who was originally the alibi to Tyson Fury, and have reported that he testified that he provided Tyson Fury and his team and his cousin Huey Fury with wild uncastrated boar meat that was tainted, which saw them fail a PED test for VADA, for UKAD, United Kingdom Anti-Doping Agency. And then he came out just this past March and stated that he never provided Tyson Fury with any wild uncastrated boar meat, nor did he ever even have wild boar meat on his farm, and he had the receipts to prove that he never even handled wild boar meat, and he was offered 25,000 pounds to be an alibi for Tyson Fury and his cousin Huey Fury. And UKAD was going to launch a fresh investigation, and then Tyson Fury denounced his boxing license in the UK. So there's so many different things. And then we see Tyson Fury with little to no padding in the second fight against Deontay Wilder in his right glove, and Deontay Wilder suffers blunt injuries in that fight. We saw Tyson Fury in the first fight. His glove is flapping all over the place, bending in 90-degree angles. So there's just too much. There's so many things that go on within the sport of boxing. And I understand where Jake Paul is coming from. Yeah, we haven't been boxing since we were 4 and 5 years old, like most of these guys. Yes, we picked it up late. Yes, we have other professions that built us up before we transitioned into the sport of boxing. But like he said, nobody even mentions the fact that Canelo Alvarez failed these 2 tests because he's the darling in the sport of boxing. And it just gets overlooked. The fan base will overlook it. They have an excuse as to why, well, this happened or that happened, and WBC approved of it. So there's so many things that take place within the sport of boxing. And Jake Paul is well in his right when he says this, because there is a lot of shadiness that takes place behind the scenes within the sport of boxing. And a lot of people have suffered in life. That Panama Lewis situation. Miguel Cotto was never the same boxer after that fight, the first fight with Antonio Margarito. He was never the same boxer after that. You understand? And then after he did that with Miguel Cotto, he was attempting to do it with Shane Mosley. And guess what? Everybody signed off on his hand wraps until Shane Mosley's trainer, not the boxing commission, not the referees, not the bigwigs, but Shane Mosley's trainer, not promoters, not managers, Shane Mosley's trainer realized that, wait a minute, this guy is using cast. He's using plaster. He caught it. If he didn't catch that, he would have went in the fight with Shane Mosley with the same advantage and the same illegal weapon in his gloves, essentially a brick in his gloves, as he did with Miguel Cotto against Shane Mosley. Luckily, Shane Mosley had somebody on his team that was able to catch it. But guess what? How was Antonio Margarito rewarded for these acts? He was given the biggest payday of his career just a few fights later against Manny Pacquiao on pay-per-view. So he was rewarded with the biggest fight of his career and the biggest payday of his career after the Miguel Cotto fight, after the Shane Mosley fight, after being caught with the hand wraps. He was still awarded the biggest payday in his career. That lets you know everything you need to know. So let's see how this all unfolds. But drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. You haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notification. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to New Media. Shout out to Black Media Raw. Make sure you like and share these videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.